Woman who had a meltdown after seeing somebody that was not real on the American Airlines plane she was flying on, was drunk, was on medication, and that's all there is to the story. She even accused somebody of taking her AirPods right before this. So we can all go home now. Wait, come back. I'm a horror channel. Of course there's more to the story. You are now within minutes of horror, and your only chances of survival is hitting that like button. With that being said, let's continue on with the video. I don't know about you all, but I love a good conspiracy theory. Even when there's a logical explanation, we can always find something that doesn't add up. And when it doesn't add up, here I am talking about it. And I do want to talk about this story about the woman who had a meltdown on an American Airlines plane, saying she saw somebody that was not real.
But I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can die with them or not. I'm not going to.
Now there are three different theories branching out when it comes to this story. There is the logical, the artificial, and the paranormal. The logical explanation is that there is a woman who saw the whole meltdown happen in real time, stating the woman had been drinking, taking medication. Also, right before this meltdown, she accused someone of taking her AirPods, so it is possible she was just having a psychotic breakdown.
I've seen the viral video of the crazy lady that got kicked off the American Airlines flight yesterday, going from DFW to Orlando. I just kind of wanted to clear up some things because there's a lot of people that have a lot of questions. So we all boarded the plane. We were on time. Everything was going fine. There was no issues. This woman boarded the plane. We actually took off, like we left the terminal, and we were pulling out onto the runway, fixing to take off. And all of a sudden, so this lady had been drinking prior to getting on the plane, evidently. Some people said they seen her at the bar next to the terminal. Anyway, so she was sitting in her seat, and I guess she had a pair of AirPods, and they said she had them in her hand, and then within seconds, we don't know if she pocketed them or where she put them. She misplaced them somehow, and she started yelling at the guy next to her, who of course is African American, and saying that he stole her AirPods. And so she started screaming, "Stop the plane, stop the plane." I went off the plane, and so the plane turned around. We hadn't left the ground yet. Anyways, the plane turned around, went back to the terminal. They, that's when that video was shot, was on the way back to the terminal.
But there are those that are saying this woman's logical story of seeing the whole thing happen in real time does not make much sense. There is also another video that has come out showing another angle where the chaos was taking place, and not once were the AirPods mentioned. You can even hear the lady who is having a meltdown say, "Get me off this plane. I do not care about my stuff."
Where's your bag? Is your bag still on your stuff on the
See what the fuck happened.
She has a bag on her meltdown.
I don't even give a fuck about my shit. Sit there.
So if she was accusing someone of taking her AirPods, why did she say, "Get me off this plane. I do not care about my stuff"? People believe the woman who came out and gave this story is a paid actor or a government agent who is creating a fake distraction story and hiding something more terrifying that will lead us into the artificial theory. There are those saying the woman saw an artificial human, or AI, artificial intelligence, Now we do know that AI is extremely powerful. It has been in the news lately with AI creators saying if we are not careful, they will take us over. AI has been in our news more and more with the creators showing us just how powerful and more advanced it can be than humans, creating music and deciphering ancient languages in seconds, able to copy someone's appearance. Is the government now testing AI humans in public places, in crowded places, such as airplanes, to see how they react being in a crowded area? This AI glitched or did something a normal human cannot do. This woman saw that and freaked out. We are only given a glimpse of the power of AI with things such as ChatGPT. We do know the government has technology that is 25 to even 50 years ahead of anything we see. Are we now in a testing phase of AI humans as the government also prepares for Project Bluebeam and the staged UFO alien takeover? Now, if you're someone that does not believe the AI theory, but you do believe the original story that she was drunk and taking medication is a little strange too, then you might believe the paranormal theory that what she saw may have been a ghost. There was a story that Mr. Ballin told, and I'm sure others have told as well, I just heard it from Mr. Ballin, about an Eastern Airlines Flight 401, which crashed into the Florida Everglades in December 1972. The aircraft was a Lockheed TriStar traveling from New York to Miami. The Eastern Airlines plane had 163 passengers and 13 members of crew on board, totaling 176 occupants altogether. The flight was largely uneventful, but on approach to Miami, the flight crew had become fixated on a faulty indication in the cockpit. They had not realized that the autopilot was disconnected, which ultimately caused the plane to lose altitude and crash. Eastern Airlines had 163 passengers and 13 members of crew on board, totaling 176 occupants altogether. Although 75 people survived, the accident still resulted in the deaths of 101 occupants, including Captain Robert Bob Loft and flight engineer Donald Don Repo. It was the first fatal crash involving not only the Lockheed TriStar, but indeed a wide-body aircraft of any kind. The tragedy was also the second deadliest plane crash in United States history at the time, although today it now ranks in 16th place. Days later, the wreckage of the aircraft was retrieved from the swamp, and some of its parts were able to be salvaged, including a galley. Those still in a sufficiently usable state were used again on the Eastern Airlines fleet. So basically, they were using good parts that were scattered among the wreckage on other planes. After these parts were used on other planes, these planes were experiencing sightings of the deceased captains, Bob and Don. They were either standing in the aisle, cockpit, or the galley. One example, the vice president of Eastern Airlines himself once boarded a flight from New York and chatted with a pilot, who he assumed was in charge of that sector. Later he recognized that pilot he'd been speaking to was in fact Bob. In another reported incident, a captain was asked to check on a passenger in first class who was in a pilot's uniform. The senior flight attendant said he was dazed and unresponsive when spoken to, and was not the passenger on that list. The captain recognized him as being none other than Bob. Flight engineer Don Repo is also said to have appeared on board flights in a strange supernatural manner. Meanwhile, a flight attendant on a New York to Miami flight, the very route of the December 1972 crash, opened an overhead locker to find Bob's face peering out at her. Then on another flight, a flight attendant is said to have seen Don's face on the oven door. She called two of her fellow crew members in to witness what she had seen, and all three crew members stated they saw the face, and he reportedly said, "Watch out for the fire in this plane." So not only do we have crew members seeing these apparitions, but we also have flight captains and the Eastern Airlines vice president also stating he saw the ghost of Bob. These sightings were becoming so frequent and rampant that eventually all the salvage parts were removed from the aircraft, and neither Bob nor Don were ever seen again. Now, this woman who had the meltdown never said whether this person was sitting in a seat or was standing up. Could she have seen somebody who was standing there that just vanished and disappeared? Now, out of all three theories, which one makes the most sense to you? Was she consuming alcohol and popping pills and had a breakdown? Is the government testing artificial humans in now more populated areas? Or perhaps she saw a ghost? Comment below your answers. Me personally, I don't know what to make of this story. All I know is I've seen enough Final Destination movies to know I better get off this plane with her. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.